Welcome to Club Ned.
Almost nobody's denied access to this club, and still it's one of America's most exclusive ones. Only here, in aptly named Nederland, in the middle of Colorado, can members legally and openly, well, get high. I found the heavens for marijuana enthusiasts in the same country where other people have to stay behind bars for decades when caught like this.
Alright, here's my tip. $1 something.
Oh, thanks.
It's my change.
Okay. Now it's getting hot.
Recreational cannabis has been legal since the beginning of the year in Colorado, but consumption is not allowed in public. Somehow, though, Cheryl and David Finelli managed to get the license to run a cannabis cafe. So far, it's a rare exception, but one that Cheryl deems completely sensible.
Because cannabis is non-toxic. The smokers of it are friendly. There's no reason why, if there's bars, why there wouldn't be places where people can get together and smoke an herb. So we needed a place.
Early evening, the place starts heating up. The guests are adequately medicated, as they call it, and even the card games are matched to the occasion. Club Ned only exists because Cheryl has a certain way of doing things that tries to distance the club completely from the criminal past of the cannabis scene.
Merry Christmas.
We followed all the rules. We bent over backwards to do everything right, and not just to follow the rules, but to follow what people would like to see and what they would not like to see. And we talked to the community, and we talked to the seniors, and we talked to the church, and the church came to bat for us. So we just involved everyone in the process.
What helps when trying to make the case for weed are its medical effects. In 22 U.S. states, cannabis is available on prescription. Former trucker Jeff Olsen had chronic pain after a complicated leg fracture. Marijuana helped him. Still, he thinks something else will tip the scale in favor of the soft drug in the U.S. Its profits, taxable and all.
Yes, I don't see why not. Alcohol is a business, grain's business. I mean, it's America, for God's sakes. We got to spark a new business. Wouldn't you say this could be one?
So he knows what happens.
I mean, I feel it's all a win for everyone.
Dreams of the future? Not quite. The cannabis business is already trying to industrialize marijuana in Colorado, and on a whole other level than here at this mom-and-pop style club. I'm heading east through the Rockies. In the mid-19th century, this was the scene of the Colorado Gold Rush. Now they're digging for gold again, but it's green, and its center is beyond the mountains. Cannabis boomtown, Denver. In one of the suburbs, a real supermarket for marijuana, the Medicine Man. The whole place looks like Fort Knox because inside it's not only full of green gold, but also lots of cash. Most banks refuse to give cannabis-related companies an account because of the bad image. For the same reason, the customers don't want me filming them. Even on an early Thursday afternoon, the place is packed.
It doesn't make you cough too much unless you take really too many hits back to back.
The sales talk regarding the 70 marijuana strains that can be bought here is a completely new experience for me.
This is Blue Dream, which is a very, very fruity, uplifting hybrid sativa. It's going to be nice, uplifting, motivational, head high, very cerebral, nice for video gaming, going out with your buddies, hanging out. This is very activity bud.
Behind the counter are the growing facilities, and Ilan Nelson offers me a small tour through the hallowed halls.
So feel free to just peek at the camera.
Everything on sale at Medicine Man is grown here. In this room, the employees simulate fall with certain temperatures and light cycles.
And And they're actually training the plant to grow out and across using a trellis and some wires. And that way we can end up with several buds all across the canopy of the plant rather than just one large bud on top.
So as much THC as possible.
That is the goal, THC. It has a lot of medicinal and recreational value.
Tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, is what's responsible for the effects when consuming cannabis. On these buds, it's even visible as white borders. Business is going so well that Medicine Man is investing the equivalent of 1.9 million euros to double production.
When we were just a medical marijuana dispensary, we were seeing about 100 patients a day, and that's a successful business model already. And now, being both medical and recreational, we're seeing about 300 patients and customers every day now.
That's why the whole place is bustling with activity, especially in this room where excess leaves are trimmed before drying.
Yes. Yes.
DC, as he's called here, might be a little eccentric, but he's by far the fastest.
He's extremely fast.
There's a unique vibe to the place, certainly also due to the fact that everybody here has a different professional background. There's no such thing as a degree in cannabis trade.
Well, actually, I hired on as their computer guy, and I just kind of like this, and I do the computer work too. But if you had asked me last January if I had pictured this as a career option, I would have had no idea and probably called you crazy. But amazing how it works out.
Well, maybe. And in some US states, it would still be crazy to touch marijuana, let alone get caught with it. The Missouri Department of Corrections has given me an appointment to interview a prisoner who, more than anyone else, is a symbol for the incredible differences in US cannabis legislation. Jeff Mizanski has been in prison for about 20 years now because of marijuana. He got life without parole. Just to make it clear, in the US, life means until you die. Mizanski has brought some of the records that document his struggle with the sentence.
I got this about 6-7 months ago. It's supposed to be going around on the internet.
He talks about the internet, but he's never used it. No access in prison.
My son tries to tell me a little bit about it, how it works and this and that, and it's all French to me, you know.
The sentence seemed French to him too. He was caught 3 times with marijuana, with significant amounts. Prosecution said he was trying to deal. Mizanski denies that, but even if he was, this punishment seems unreasonably harsh.
If I was in a different state, I'd probably been out a long time ago. Just about any other state. Missouri's got laws that they follow certain ways, and a nonviolent crime, and then people that get convicted of murder get out on a parole.
But there's no possibility of parole for Mizanski, and his only chance is clemency from the Democratic Missouri Governor Jay Nixon. Such a move would be very rare, but the former construction worker has not given up hope just yet, partly because of what's going on in other states regarding the legalization of cannabis.
That, I got a loving family. That helps a lot. They got a lot of hope. So, besides that, I got the Lord. He's the biggest. And that's it.
But if earthly salvation really is on the way, will it arrive in time? Mizanski is 61 years old.
You know, I never claimed that I was an angel, but I don't believe I deserve this.
Even after 20 years behind bars, he can still imagine a life beyond this prison.
One of the first things on my list is to be to visit my mother's and father's grave. Finally get closure.
Your glasses. Oh, thank you.
So.
And that's it. My time is up. I'm shaken because from today's perspective, it's hard for me to understand why Jeff Mizanski has to stay in prison for the rest of his life, even if he'd been caught with a full ton of marijuana. It just seems wrong. There is one man who might be able to help me understand. Before I wrap up my trip, I stopped by in Sedalia, 1 hour away from the prison facility. Jeff Mittelhauser still works in the same building as back then. He was the prosecutor in Mizanski's case and got more than he bargained for. He offered a plea deal, 20 years with parole, but Mizanski declined because it seemed so much. The judge in charge then struck with the full force of the law.
Mizanski was first a persistent drug offender, meaning he had at least 2 prior felony convictions, and then the next offense, the third offense, couldn't be simply possession, and it couldn't be simply possession of a small amount. He had to be found guilty of possession with intent to deliver.
Not surprisingly, Mittelhauser is critical of the cannabis legalization going on in other states, but nevertheless, he has trouble being at peace with the Mizanski case.
2 weeks ago, I wrote a letter to Missouri Governor Jay Nixon. I explained some of the background of the offense. I explained some of Mr. Mizanski's background, but I also recommended clemency for him. I told the governor that I thought that the nearly 20 years he's served now is enough for what he did.
Things move at a slower pace in Missouri than Colorado, but even here, cannabis legislation seems in for a change when people like Jeff Mittelhauser stand up for someone like Mizanski. On my way back, I see one last reminder of this highly symbolic case, a giant billboard sponsored by a pro-marijuana organization, Mizanski overlooking the freeway. Prison or prosperity, depending on the state, those are the options for people who trade or deal with marijuana. Even if things are changing when it comes to cannabis, the U.S. is still schizophrenic.